The sun was dipping low behind the palm trees that lined Beverly Hills' famous streets, throwing streaks of gold across Dorit Kemsley's marble-floored living room. The chandeliers above her glittered, but their sparkle felt emptier than usual. For the first time in a long while, Dorit sat in silence. No laughter, no champagne clinks, no camera crews shuffling around. Just quiet, the kind that screams louder than any argument ever could. After nearly a decade of marriage, Paul P.K. Kemsley, the British businessman known for his wit, charm, and fast-talking humor, had packed a small suitcase and left. And with that, Beverly Hills' most stylish couple had quietly shattered. A perfect life, or so it seemed. To the world, PK and Dorit were the definition of luxury. The power couple that turned heads wherever they went. He, with his tailored suits and magnetic confidence. She, with her designer dresses, polished accent, and golden hair cascading perfectly into every camera frame. Fans of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills had watched their love story unfold like a glossy magazine spread. There were the lavish parties, the laughter-filled dinners, and the endless displays of affection that made it seem like nothing could touch them. But what the cameras didn't capture were the nights when silence stretched between them like a canyon, when Dorit would retreat to her walk-in closet, the only space that still felt hers, and stare at racks of couture she no longer wanted to wear. Behind the sparkle, something had been dimming for months. The first crack. It began subtly. PK's business ventures, always ambitious, had started to strain under financial pressure. Dorit, meanwhile, was trying to hold her image together while balancing motherhood, fashion launches, and the ever-demanding world of reality television. Then came the robbery, a terrifying night that changed everything. Masked men breaking in. Dorit alone with her children, hiding in fear. PK returning from a trip to find her trembling, broken, yet trying so hard to appear composed for the cameras. That trauma never really left them. PK tried to comfort her, but Dorit's nightmares wouldn't fade. Her heart had built walls, and no amount of lavish gifts or public smiles could bring them down. The distance grows. PK, I just feel like you don't see me anymore, Dorit said one evening, sitting by their pool as the city lights shimmered below. I see you every day, babe, PK replied, his voice soft yet distracted, scrolling through his phone. You're always on camera, always shining. What are you talking about? That's not what I mean, she whispered. He looked up then, realizing the tears in her eyes weren't for drama, they were real. But by the time he reached for her hand, she had already pulled away. Rumors began swirling, as they always do in Beverly Hills. PK spotted without his wedding ring. Dorit arriving solo to an event. A leaked audio clip of an argument, muffled but unmistakable. The tabloids called it a rough patch. But those close to them knew it was more than that. It was years of love weighed down by fear, fame, and the unrelenting pressure to appear perfect. The night everything changed. It was a Friday evening, one of those cool Los Angeles nights where the air feels heavy with unsaid things. Dorit had just wrapped a photo shoot for her new fashion line. The house was quiet again. PK was in his office, pouring himself another drink. When she walked in, he looked up, eyes tired. Dorit, we need to talk, he said, setting the glass down. The words hung there, sharp and final. She already knew what was coming. I love you, he began. I always will, but I think we're just hurting each other now. You've been through so much, and I haven't been what you needed me to be. Don't do this, she said, her voice trembling. We can fix it. We always fix it. He shook his head, his accent thick with emotion. Not this time, babe. I think maybe the best thing I can do for you, for us, is to step away. For a moment, Dorit felt like the walls were closing in. She wanted to scream, to throw the glass vase beside her, to beg him to stay, but she didn't. Instead, she simply whispered, then go. And he did. The aftermath. News travels fast in Beverly Hills, faster than light, faster than truth. By morning, every gossip site had the headline, PK and Dorit Kemsley separate after 9 years of marriage. Fans flooded social media with shock, sadness, and speculation. Some blamed PK. Others accused Dorit of caring more about fame than family. But no one really knew what had happened behind those designer doors. Inside the now too-quiet mansion, Dorit sat with her phone buzzing nonstop, scrolling through memories instead of messages. Their wedding photos, family holidays, moments frozen in a time that suddenly felt very far away. Her friends rallied around her, Kyle Richards, Lisa Rinna, and even Erica Jane, who had once been her sharpest rival. They came with hugs, gossip, and sympathy, but none of it filled the ache. Dorit's biggest battle wasn't public humiliation, it was loneliness. PK sighed. Across town, PK had moved into a luxury apartment overlooking Sunset Boulevard. It was sleek, private, and utterly silent. The kind of silence that used to feel like peace, but now just reminded him of everything he'd lost. He tried to keep busy. Business meetings, golf with old friends, dinners with publicists. But every time his phone lit up with a photo of their kids, Jagger and Phoenix, he felt the weight of his choices crash down. In an interview weeks later, PK tried to stay composed. "I'll always love Dorit. We shared a beautiful life, beautiful children, but sometimes love changes form. I think right now we're just trying to find peace." It was dignified, calm, and heartbreakingly human. But the sadness in his eyes told the real story. Behind the cameras. When filming resumed for the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, producers knew they had a storm brewing. Dorit's storyline would now become the centerpiece of the season. On her first day back, she sat in front of the camera, flawless as ever, but her eyes told another tale. "People think they know us," she said softly. "But marriage isn't just what you see on Instagram. It's hard work, and sometimes, even when you give everything, it's still not enough." Her voice cracked. For once, the camera crew didn't cut. They let the silence linger, raw, real, and unfiltered. A glimpse of healing. Months passed. Dorit focused on her fashion line and her kids. PK stayed mostly out of the spotlight. Despite the tabloids' attempts to paint villains, neither of them ever spoke badly about the other. There were sightings, the two of them attending a school event together, laughing briefly, then going their separate ways. A lunch in Malibu that had fans wondering if reconciliation was possible. But those close to them knew this was not about rekindling romance. It was about rebuilding trust, separately this time. Dorit's reflection. One evening, months after the split, Dorit sat alone on her patio as the sun melted into the horizon. She opened her journal, something she hadn't done in years, and wrote, "Maybe love doesn't always mean staying. Maybe sometimes love means letting go before you lose yourself completely." She closed it, feeling a strange peace. For the first time in years, she wasn't performing for anyone. She was just Dorit. Not a housewife, not a brand, not a headline. Just a woman learning to breathe again. PK's regret. Meanwhile, PK had begun therapy, something he once swore he'd never do. The sessions were uncomfortable at first, peeling back layers of bravado to face what lay underneath: guilt, fear, love, and loss. He admitted that he had hidden behind humor and money to avoid dealing with emotions, that he tried to fix things with gifts instead of words, that he missed Dorit's laugh, not the one from TV, but the real one that came when no one was watching. He sent her a text one night. "No regrets, babe, just gratitude for everything." She didn't reply, but she smiled when she read it. The city reacts. Beverly Hills was buzzing for weeks. Every event, every podcast, every fan forum dissected the split. But something unusual happened. The narrative shifted. Instead of scandal, people began seeing strength. Instead of gossip, there was empathy. In a world obsessed with perfection, PK and Dorit's honesty about their struggles resonated. They weren't villains or victims. They were human, and that perhaps was what made their story so magnetic. A new beginning. Nearly a year later, Dorit returned to the show with a renewed sense of confidence. She launched a new fashion campaign called Reclaimed, a collection celebrating self-worth after heartbreak. It sold out within days. At the launch party, cameras caught her speaking to Kyle. "You look happy," Kyle said. "I am," Dorit smiled. "Maybe not the kind of happy I thought I'd have, but the kind that's real." Across the room, PK arrived quietly without fanfare. He congratulated her, gave her a warm hug, and whispered something that made her laugh. It was brief, bittersweet, and full of history. Two people who had built something beautiful lost it and somehow found themselves in the ruins. Epilogue. In the months that followed, both PK and Dorit continued to co-parent gracefully, focusing on their children and careers. Rumors of reconciliation came and went, but neither confirmed nor denied. They didn't need to. Because sometimes, closure doesn't come in dramatic scenes or final words. It comes in small moments, a shared smile, a kind text, a memory that doesn't hurt anymore.